Hello everyone, my name is Tina Ruggieri. I am the Assistant Curator at the Abrams Engel Institute for the Visual Arts, located on the campus of the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I'm excited to be here today with artist Walter Robinson. Walter is one of the 37 artists in AEIVA's current exhibition, A la Carte, a visual exploration of our relationship with food. Walter is a painter living and working in New York City, and he graduated from Columbia University. He has had recent exhibitions at Charlie James Gallery in Los Angeles, Johannes Vogt Gallery in New York, Vito Schnabel Gallery in Switzerland, Jeffrey Deitch Gallery in New York, and that's just to name a few. His work has been featured in Art Info, Bomb Magazine, Art News, and the New York Times. Walter, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
First, can you just give us a little bit of information into how you became interested in art and why you became an artist?
Oh, well, I was the kid in first grade who could draw. And so it started there, I think. And so I don't think I was a fast starter, but I was always interested in art. And back in Tulsa, where I grew up, I was thinking I'd probably go to OU or OSU, but they give you these aptitude tests, and I scored high and ended up going to Columbia University in New York City. And once I got into the city, I discovered that art galleries were free.
Yeah.
And it was just the thing that fascinated me the most. It's been a long and winding road, I can tell you.
Yeah, I bet. So what did you end up going to school for at Columbia? Because you said you don't have an art degree, but you just became interested in art.
Well, you know, Columbia has a justly famous humanities, liberal arts curriculum.
Definitely.
So I think I benefited a lot from that. But as for my major, I usually say I had a double major, smoking pot and chasing girls. But in the end, I took a lot of electives, a lot of studio electives. At that time, Columbia didn't offer undergraduates art classes, but the sister institution, Barnard College, did. And so I took some classes over there with several interesting artists who I don't think their names would mean very much today. But that was my start. And more importantly, I took a big survey class in, I guess it was 20th century art history. And the teacher was talking about minimalism, and somebody piped up, "Could you define that?" And the instructor, she got kind of angry at the class, and I didn't know what minimalism was. So the next semester, I took a seminar in writing art criticism.
Yeah.
I thought that way I'll be able to find out what minimalism is. And the teacher was a man named Brian O'Doherty, who's also an artist. And at the time, he was editor of Art in America magazine. And 3 of the 10 people in the class ended up writing reviews for him at Art in America. And that's where my long career as an art writer began, in that seminar at Barnard.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a long-winded story, but it really started at college in a seminar on writing art criticism.
That's amazing, and that is something that I didn't put in my introduction. But you are known as a art critic in the art world. You have a very long career. You have multiple bodies of work. One that I know the most about you is your kind of romantic figures that are based on like the pulp paperback fiction novels and romantic novels. But what made you become interested in like these food objects and painting food objects?
Well, I would say that there's a German artist, Gerhard Richter, and in 1975, I went to Germany, and had discovered him for myself in advance of the New York art world as a whole, which didn't really discover him until the 80s. And one of the things that struck me about the work, I saw a museum retrospective, is that he worked in a lot of different genres. He had abstracts, he had portraits, he had still lifes, he made candle paintings, he did landscapes, and I thought that's what I want to do too. I want to have one of everything. So the pulp romances, those pictures started, I think, one of the things that moved me was the question of desire. And a lot of my interests are the sort of biological evolutionary underpinnings of our drives and emotions that are shaped by the culture at large. So to me, those scenes on those paperback covers represented, I like to say, I think my father's subconscious, and it was a whole range of templates for emotional interactions and desire. And the move from narrative scenes to still life was sort of natural in the sense that it was a genre of painting I wanted to undertake. And my focus was to do still lifes that, rather than capturing a piece of nature, like flowers in a pot or fruits in a bowl, captured more directly some part of modern life that we desired. So one of my earliest series was to do a whole bunch of quick studies of what I call beer cans and beer bottles, and I called those 2 6-packs. The joke being that there'd only be 4 or 5 bottles showing because I'd already drunk half of the still life before I started painting. And there was a little comic notion there that the swashbuckling quality of the painting itself was influenced by the subject of the painting, that is the alcohol flowing through the artist's veins. So it was a little bit of an indictment of the spirit of Bacchus, the spirit of alcohol that can bring certain things to life and let loose spirits in the human person. So it started with beer bottles, and then it sort of generally moved to some of the other subjects, cheeseburgers in particular, and painkillers. All these things sort of have some relation to, like, the artistic enterprise. Art is in a way a analgesic. I don't want to talk continuously here, though. I'm totally possible of holding forth.
Something that I find kind of interesting is that you talk about the desire of the romantic figures, but that can also is a thread that is connecting to these, like, you can desire a cheeseburger and fries. You can, have this sense of desire with these food objects as well as the romantic figures.
And the interesting thing to me about still lifes is not the cheeseburgers so much, but some of the other paintings, like paintings of brownies or paintings of piles of cookies. To me, they have resonance with contemporary sculpture, and I like to say contemporary sculpture is all based on baked goods. So you have piles of cookies that are like a Brancusi endless column, or you have an image. It's always off the supermarket packaging, if I can do it. So a picture of a bunch of brownies off of a brownie mix box. They're leaning together against each other like a minimalist sculpture would be. So those kinds of double meanings and hidden meanings, I think it's fascinating the way high culture will echo something as simple as mass market recipes.
And so one of my questions is, like, so when you talk about your work, and you're talking about that now, is that you have multi-layers of meaning within your work. And so when we're looking at, for example, this Big America, which is a double stacked cheeseburger with some fries on the side, it's not just a cheeseburger. Like the title of it, Big America, I feel like there's multiple ways to unpack that title. You know, there's the Big Mac from McDonald's. There's also, you know, the obesity issue within America. So to me, the idea of multi-layer within your work, if you could talk a little bit more about that as well.
You know, the cheeseburger thing is, to me, it's really strange, and it's ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
If I told you I've got a show of paintings of cheeseburgers, in your mind, what is the appeal of that? Who wants to go see a picture of a cheeseburger? Everybody knows what cheeseburgers look like. It's not as if I'm presenting something fascinating or inventive or new. It is, in fact, a really commonplace, everyday item.
Mm-hmm.
All the same, most of us, meat eaters or non-meat eaters, we have a personal relationship to a food item like a cheeseburger, which is totally American.
Yeah.
And so you have something that is both like mass market and common, but it also totally individual. So I like to think of the cheeseburgers as a kind of analog to the human subject. Mm-hmm. That is, they're basically all the same, but they're all individual.
Yeah.
Another aspect of them is, you know, the corporate packaged advertising aspect of it. In that, even though like the food we eat is part of our daily lives, the image of a corporate produced cheeseburger, and all these images are taken from the big cheeseburger companies. And, you know, I'll go to a McDonald's drive-in and take a picture of the poster.
Yeah.
Or this one is from the White Castle that was on Metropolitan Avenue by the art supply store I go to.
Yeah.
And so you can, I think you can feel, or I imagine, mm-hmm. that these images are really very constrained. They're part of like this, you know, I may be imagining it. They're part of this corporate spectacle that takes all our desires, which are necessarily free-floating and vague and uncertain, and it packages them just like in, you know, that paper wrapping you get your Big Mac in. It's all packaged into this lump, this pellet-like lump. And you know, I kind of hate to say that, because when I started making these paintings, I was not intending to critique consumerism in any way. I was actually meaning to celebrate it, celebrate the desire and the taste and the image of satisfaction that these corporations are trying to sell us. I wanted to steal that from the corporations, make it my own, and use it to sell my paintings to the viewer.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really interesting take. You know, a lot of people like to critique consumerism, and maybe these paintings have ultimately become a critique on consumerism, but it's interesting that you wanted to celebrate it with these works.
Yeah, celebrate the desire anyway.
Yeah.
You know, also it's like typically postmodern evasiveness. The images have already been designed by the image specialists, the advertising and marketing specialists at these big corporations. So I don't have to do it. I don't have to apply my artistic imagination to something to devise something special and supposedly individual and inventive for my artwork. I can just steal the corporate image that's already been perfectly modeled and use that instead of doing anything myself. That's very lazy, very postmodern. You know, when Franz Klein's mother saw his big abstract brush strokes, she supposedly said, "Yes, Franz, I knew you'd find the easy way out." Anyway, this hot dog you see is an image that it's like stock art, and all the hot dog carts in New York have a picture, not this picture, but have a picture of this hot dog on the sides of their carts, and it's all over town. So one of the things I like about art is it segments your audience into people who know and people who don't. And as it happens, I think very few people who see the hot dog paintings say, oh, I've seen that painting on that picture on the side of a hot dog cart. This one, of course, the hot dog carts, they don't have the black and red background. They have sort of a green, foggy background. So I took some liberties with this. And of course, I love the way the mustard looks like a serpent. It's like a serpent in the Garden of Eden. It wasn't an apple. It wasn't an apple. It was a hot dog. Did you know that? It was really a hot dog.
It was really a hot dog. I wanted to ask you how you derive your titles for these artworks. So we had like Big America. Obviously, the White Castle double is evident because it's the White Castle, which White Castle in the South is called crystals. They're pretty much the same thing. We have Black
I should
Dog.
Come down there. I should come down there.
You'll have to come down here and then
check it out.
You know, we have Art Show Salad. So like Art Show Salad and Big America, to me, you took liberties with the titles. And so I was just kind of wondering how you derive at titles for some of your works.
Well, with the cheeseburgers, I try to use the name of the burger that the companies have given it. And, you know, Big America was one of my earliest and more successful images, I think. And I can't remember where the brand comes from. This will often happen. I'll like get a disconnect on the brand. Maybe it was McDonald's Japan or something, and they called it a Big America. Oh, instead of a Big Mac. You remember that scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta is going on about what a Big Mac is called in Paris? Yes. What is it? Mac Royale or something? Yeah, something like that. The salads are different. The salads are even more Dionysian because they're tossed. Yeah. So the idea of tossing the ingredients and having them land in a kind of second generation ABX design. This is what I'm going for, a more free feeling. And the images of salads are harder to find. You know, there aren't corporations really selling salads. So Art Show Salad, I think, came from a photograph I took of somebody at an art show in the booth eating her salad. Oh, I love it. That's why I called it Art Show Salad. You know, you try to make the names identify where it came from. Very simple. So a lot of the salads are the name of a restaurant, or like people post their food images on their Instagram. So if a friend of mine named, you know, Joy has a picture of her salad, the painting will be called Joy's Salad. Gotcha. So it's I will say, very simple. Part of why we chose the Art Show Salad is because it kind of goes back to what you also just said about there's not a lot of images of salads. It's usually kind of junk food or cookies or cheeseburgers. And a lot of artists tend to make food based around kind of junk food or food that's not very healthy. And so we kind of wanted the Art Show Salad because it was one of the few artworks that we found that kind of was an image of healthy food, or what we consider to be healthy. Depending on how much dressing you put on your salad, it may not be very healthy. That was my motivation. I may have told you my inspiration was this project that my niece was doing. She was trying to develop an Instagram following, a sort of health conscious exercise and diet program on Instagram. And she would include her exercise routines and her pictures of healthy food with these little lectures, these little speeches, these little motivational paragraphs about how we can improve ourselves and work hard and be true to ourselves and find our full personality. And I thought, this is great language. You never hear it in the art business. In fine art is the stuff of outlaws and breaking rules and being bad. So I thought, I could do this. It'll be totally healthy. And one of the great things about salad in general is that its history is kind of cloudy. You know, you like try to research what's the history of salad. You end up looking at 100-year-old menus, right, to see if they have a salad listed. You know, in 18th century France, they didn't eat uncooked vegetables, right? So salads sort of came to life in the 1700s, and they became sort of really specialized in the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done all the research on the history of salads that I should have.
I was gonna say I actually did not know any of that about salad, but it makes sense. And I'm gonna
you know, Wikipedia on salads is really kind of wanting. Somebody needs to fill out the history of salads.
And I kind of have maybe kind of a strange question. So when I look at some of these, I almost feel like you're taking this mundane object and you're painting it almost and elevating it to that of a portrait. Do you kind of see those on the same, like, even playing field, if you will?
Well, do you think a portrait is a more prestigious subject than a still life? I guess it is.
I guess it depends on the person. But I will say, in terms of art history, art history has always had this hierarchy in terms of what is the best type of painting. And I think now we live in a world where to me, there is no hierarchy. If it's good art, it's good art. If it's a still life or if it's a portrait. But thinking in terms of art historical references, portraiture was higher up on the hierarchy list than that of still life.
I can tell you that some of the still lifes I painted in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I had a still life exhibition in 1985 in the New York Gallery, and besides painkillers, it included like that honey painting, and it included a painting of a bowl of sugar cubes, like you might see at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And my pitch then was that these were portraits of my wife, sugar, honey, like that. So there is a little bit of a metaphorical parallel, although a guy wanted to buy a painting of a bottle of aspirin as a wedding gift for his wife. I told him, not a good idea to give her a headache remedy as a wedding gift.
Yeah, that's probably not the metaphor you're going for. So this is an installation shot. So we have these four together, and we have them next to a Paul Kramer's. It's called Oldenburg Floor Burger, where it's Great Art and Ugly Rooms. I'm not sure if you know of him. And then we have Succo. And then we have the art show salad. There were some nice visuals with the Wayne Thiebaud and then Richard Olney. So we have the fish circle and then asparagus and then art show salad.
Well, it's a great honor to be displayed next to Wayne Thiebaud.
There was something very visually nice about the two together, and just kind of these three, how they work together. But I will say, I don't know which one is my favorite out of yours. I maybe the White Castle burger, because I have a personal connection to eating Crystals as a kid, and so like I said earlier, Crystals is kind of the White Castle of the South, very similar. But I will say the cookies and milk in behind you is quite exquisite. I love that.
Well, that was the plan. To grab you by your appetites.
There you go. And I think that's kind of what this whole show has done. Grab you by your appetites. That should have been our tagline for it.
Well, congratulations on the exhibition. It's very impressive. You have 37 artists. That's an awful lot of work. I'm really impressed.
It's a pretty awesome show. I mean, I might be biased because I helped put it together. I'm really excited about all the conversations that are happening, but then also all the different types of styles and mediums and connections to food that artists are working through. So it's been a lot of fun putting it together. I think this has been a really great overview of just some of the ideas and concepts that you're thinking about when you're painting these cheeseburgers or salads. And so I just want to thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I know that everybody's going to be super excited to hear about your work.
It's been fun.
Thank you.